Hey guys, so I wanted to give you an update on how my prep is going, and kind of what I'm doing right now in order to be the strongest I possibly can be on the platform, since that is kind of the whole purpose of this video series. So I just came off of a volume deload. What I mean by that is when I'm this close to a meet, I don't drop off intensity as much as I normally would with a traditional deload, because I don't want to lose the intensity adaptations that I did make going into my peaking block. And if you do lower down intensity too much, where you might do with a traditional deload, where it's going to be a volume and intensity to a pretty decent extent, um, you're not going to maintain the same levels of fitness, the ability to produce maximal forces with high loads, which is the whole point of powerlifting, to be strong with your 1 rep maxes. So it did drop off a decent amount of fatigue, but was not admittedly fully recovered going on into this. But that's kind of just how peaking into meets goes. It's hard, it's heavy, and that's just part of the process. Despite volume being lowered in peaking blocks and whatnot, you are still operating using heavy loads. And the reality is that heavier loads that are more close to your maximal abilities, your actual 100% 1 rep max, are more fatiguing per unit volume. So it is still quite fatiguing in a different way. Um, so, um, yeah, I guess going into what the whole purpose of peaking is and what your priorities should be is going to be the main topic of this video. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about my approach with this, how this first week of training went. So, first off, the whole purpose of peaking is to maximize the neuromuscular coordination, firing abilities, all these qualities associated with 1 rep max with your nervous system, to be able to express maximal forces. And what this means is you're going to have to prioritize intensity over volume. So how that looks like for me is I'm doing lots of singles and doubles as on my primary days. So I have a primary squat, deadlift, and bench day, which are my priority days for overload, right? And so on those days, it's going to be a lot of singles and doubles and going in that 85 to 100% of my 1 rep max on those overload days, for a decent amount of volume for those, relative for those rep ranges. And then on my secondary days, because I am squatting basically 3 times per week right now, I am bench pressing 3 times per week and deadlifting 2 times per week. It's more about just getting in volume or skill practice, because again, you're trying to get good at producing maximal forces. It's very technique dependent, um, but you also need to be able to make sure that you are not losing other important qualities that do contribute to maximal forces, such as muscle size. So you still need to make sure that you are getting specific volume on the competition movements. Now, as a result of this, you are going to drop down accessory volume and kind of do more of a Eastern European style of training, where it's basically super competition specific, and you're really trying to do the competition lifts or just extremely close variants to it, because you're going to have the most specificity, the most transference of training with those types of exercises. So while a tricep pushdown might be a great exercise in hypertrophy or a strength block, it's not going to be a priority in the peaking phase, as opposed to a close grip bench press or simply just bench pressing to maintain your tricep size and strength. So everything is just becomes very, very specific for the competition. So I am prioritizing a lot of my intensity-based work on my primary days, since that is the goal of peaking, is to overload my nervous system to be able to produce maximal forces close to my 1 rep max, and be primed for competition. And then on my secondary work, it's just technique, skill practice of volume to maintain the skill and to maintain hypertrophy. So my whole paradigm with this is, just ramping up volumes. This week, I basically took more or less around my opener weights on squat, bench, and deadlift. And then next week, I'll be taking more or less around what I know is going to be my third attempts, potentially. I'll plan on, or at least my second attempts for my meets next week, and increase intensity a little bit more, slightly taper down volume a little bit, with increasing a little bit more singles on my primary days instead of doing doubles, just because that's more specific, closer to competition. You're being judged on moving one rep, not multiple reps in a powerlifting competition. So the more specificity, the better. But overall, this week of training went okay, except for my squat day. It totally destroyed me. I tried something new this time I trained with my coach and and it didn't work out very, very well. I did my primary squat session on one day after my secondary squat session and my heaviest deadlift. And, that was a decision that we probably shouldn't have made, and so I overshot, but, was still able to squeeze out 405 despite the fatigue. So, that's a sign that at least I'm probably improving, but going forward, it's just about managing fatigue, sticking to the plan, and then, getting a plan together to do my best on the platform when it really matters. But yeah, kind of a shorter video today, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll have a little bit more footage next week. I haven't really had a lot of time to actually film this week because I've been busy with coaching and whatnot, which I'm super grateful for. But yeah, this is what I got, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update in how I structure my peaking blocks. So maybe you guys can learn a little bit if you guys want to be the strongest you can be for whatever event that you want to be strongest on. So if you guys like the video, make sure to like it, comment, share, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.